Welcome to The Other Side, Mississippi Today's political podcast. I am your host for today. My name's Emily Wagster-Pettis. I am editor-in-chief of Mississippi Today. Joining me is our Mississippi Today general assignment reporter, Simeon Gates. Welcome, Simeon.
Hi.
And our guest today is Katie Blount, who is retiring as director of the Mississippi Department of Archives and History after a good long career there.
I have been there for more than 30 years, and I've been director for more than 10 years.
That's fantastic. Looking forward to retirement, I assume.
Yes, I am.
Absolutely.
I have loved it there. It's a wonderful place to work. I love my colleagues, but I'm ready.
Okay. I'm going to kick it to Simeon for our first question.
You worked at the Department of Archives and History for a long time before you became director. What was that like, and how has the department changed since you've been there?
I came in 1994 as an entry-level communications person. That was called public information then, and I was writing press releases and writing speeches and various things for the director. And it was a great way to learn the department because I worked with everyone. I was kind of like a reporter inside the department. And I loved it from the beginning. Elbert Hilliard was director. William Winter was president of the Board of Trustees, and they were wonderful to work with. Chrissy Wilson, who hired me. It was definitely a slower pace then. It was a much smaller department. The State History Museum was in the old Capitol. Things have changed a lot over the years, and of course the biggest change was the opening of the two Mississippi museums in December of 2017, which was 2 years after I became director.
So let's talk a bit about the whole development of the two museums. That obviously did not happen overnight. There was a lot of discussion in the legislature for many, many years. Yes. Tell us about that.
We had been trying. The State History Museum had outgrown the old Capitol, and the old Capitol was in need of restoration anyway, and we had been trying for years to get the funds to build a new State History Museum. That we weren't making much traction. Meanwhile, Governor Haley Barbour had initiated an effort in the private sector to build a civil rights museum with private funding. In 2011, William Winter, our board president, and Reuben Anderson, who was also on our board of trustees, went to Governor Barbour and proposed combining the History and Civil Rights Museum under the leadership of Archives and History in downtown Jackson. He went for it. He worked his magic at the Capitol and got the initial $40 million in funding for it, and we were off and running. We had some catching up to do on the Civil Rights Museum because we had done a lot of planning for the History Museum. So we had to do, sort of begin to frame the story of the Civil Rights era, but also we had a lot of work to do building credibility in the civil rights community as a Mississippi State agency and an agency that had not often, that had only recently become aware of its responsibility and obligation to include the stories of all Mississippians.
Because there was good reason in the civil rights community to be suspicious of state government generally.
Absolutely.
Given the history of the Sovereignty
Commission.
Right.
Absolutely. And there was good reason to be suspicious of the Department of Archives and History. I mean, like I said, we had changed a lot, but we really needed to demonstrate our willingness to and our strong desire to include the voices of the civil rights community. These are the people whose stories we're telling, and so we worked very hard to do that. And we're really grateful for our partnership with civil rights veterans who helped us tell the stories.
Right. Simeon?
What is your relationship like now with the civil rights community, and how do you think the Civil Rights Museum has helped educate Mississippians and people the world over about this time in history?
Well, the opening day was kind of a blur to me, but the next day was a Sunday, and I went down to the museums and I saw multi-generational families mostly African American, coming into the museums. I saw grandparents talking to their grandchildren and explaining the stories that in the exhibits, and I realized that this was a new beginning for the department and for the state, really. We never ever could have built this museum without the civil rights veterans and the scholars of the civil rights movement who helped us. A really important turning point for the department was when Myrlie Evers gave the Medgar and Myrlie Evers papers to the department. That sent a strong signal.
That was big.
That she had faith in us. She was close to Governor Winter. It was huge, and she stayed with us. She was a very strong advocate for the museums. Our first director, Pamela Jr., had huge credibility and just a huge magnetic personality and drew people in.
Because she was previously with the Smith Robertson Museum
That's right.
in Jackson.
That's right. She was, and was a really fine director there, and for us, got us off to a really strong start. And I mean, to be honest, it was with the combination of the Mississippi History Museum and the Civil Rights Museum, we attracted a lot more attention nationally, internationally, than we would have just with the State History Museum. That was sort of the magic of the story, that those two museums were combined and that the Mississippi state government was funding a civil rights museum.
You know, I think there was a lot of skepticism, especially from that outside world,
Yeah,
that Mississippi would approach this difficult history in an honest way. And, I mean, to the great credit of the department.
Well, and to the great credit of our state's leadership, people ask me, did they tell you what to say? Did they put pressure on you not to tell the whole story? And never once. Never once. I mean, we had full support from 3 successive governors. Governor Barber really wouldn't have happened without him. Governor Bryant, who spoke at the opening, was a strong advocate for the project. Governor Reeves, again, a strong supporter of the department. And the legislature who provided the funding. I mean, I think they knew if they were going to build a $100 million museum, it needed to be a first-rate experience for the visitors and needed to tell the stories honestly. And they conveyed that to us, and we never looked back. I mean, that's what we do. That's what we believe in anyway.
So in the last couple of years under the second Trump administration, excuse me, there's been an effort to really change the way history is portrayed especially in the national museums in Washington, D.C. How much pressure have y'all felt in the Mississippi Department of Archives and History? Has there been pressure to change the exhibits or to tone it down in some way?
No, I think our leadership is proud of these museums. They've been really well received in the state and nationally, and I think that they're proud of the state's commitment to telling the truth, and I think they're comfortable. We stay in our lane. We talk about history. We don't get involved in contemporary issues, and I think they're really committed to having and supporting the only state-operated civil rights museum in the nation. It's a credit to our state.
Is there federal funding for these museums here?
No, I mean, there was a little bit of NEH funding for their construction. We do get federal grants. The department gets federal money for our historic preservation programs, but no, this was the state and the private donors who were incredibly generous.
Okay.
Speaking of, another big event you oversaw was the changing of the state flag. What was that experience like?
Came out of the blue for us. When the legislature voted in 2020, middle of COVID, to take down the old flag, they directed Archives and History to plan the ceremony retiring the old flag and to do the staff work for the flag commission that they created to select a new flag to present to the voters in November. So from like July through September, that was all we did. Like I said, it was the middle of COVID. Ordinarily, you would go around the state and meet with people in their towns and communities. We couldn't do that. All the meetings were in the auditorium at the 2 museums. The commissioners were wonderful. They really were all in. They took the process seriously. They loved the high level of public engagement.
There were a lot of suggestions submitted for
Oh,
flag
boy.
designs.
The Stennis flag was one of them.
That's right.
The Stennis flag was actually, in the end, not considered because the creator of the flag did not want it to be, and whoever designed the flag would have had to sign over the rights to the state, and she didn't want to do that. But there were thousands of designs submitted. We learned a lot. We should have limited how many designs each person could submit.
The one with the giant mosquito was
The
interesting.
mosquito was, people still ask me about the mosquito flag all the time. It was wildly popular.
It was accurate.
Yes, yes.
There was a beer can proposal.
There was
I
a
think,
beer
yeah.
can. There
Yeah.
were some, there were some sports stars, and it was a lot of creativity. This is a very creative state.
Right. I mean, and the only mandate from the legislature was that it contained the phrase "In God We Trust."
And that it include no Confederate imagery.
Correct. So I covered that process when the commission was meeting and discussing these ideas, and they really did give it a lot of serious
They
thought.
did.
Yeah.
They absolutely did. And, we were in charge of those meetings, and I was always kind of, you like your meetings to be pretty buttoned up, particularly when they're public.
Right.
And this was a very, free-ranging creative process of, take this out, move that. And I felt like, are we showing too much of the sausage factory?
Right.
But in the end, I really think that the level of public engagement and the fact that the public could see how seriously their thoughts were taken
Right.
really helped build that strong support. I mean, the voters passed the new flag overwhelmingly in
Right.
November.
And I thought it was really interesting in that process. One of the changes that we saw happen right in front of the public was the discussion of the shape of the stars so that it would reflect
Right.
Choctaw heritage
That's
as
right.
well.
Chief Cyrus Ben was a wonderful commissioner. He's chief of the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians. He's now on our board of trustees. He proposed that the star include the diamond shape that is significant in Native American history. The commissioners loved it, and every flag design that they considered from that point had that star in it.
That's right.
And the flag that we fly today has that star in it.
And the magnolia itself was drawn by a woman from Greenwood, is my understanding, my recollection of that.
Yes,
yeah.
the flag that we have now was composed of different elements that came from different sources, which is kind of neat.
Right. And the colors all have significance as
Yes,
well, right?
yes.
I think the gold bars were kind of a late addition.
Yes,
On
they
that.
were white for a while. I think you can still watch the commission meetings through our website, and like I said, they were free ranging.
Right. Back to that day of the ceremony, I mean, you were right there walking with Lieutenant Governor Hoseman and Speaker Gunn, carrying the flag from the old flag from the Capitol to the museums. What's your recollection of that day?
Well, when I woke up that morning, I did not know that the ceremony was going to happen that day. It was scheduled for the next day, and Lieutenant Governor Hoseman wound up moving it a day earlier because of the legislative calendar. He wanted to be sure the legislators could be there. And so we kind of scrambled to get the ceremony together. And Holly Lang was organizing it for us and did a great job. And I also didn't know that I would be carrying the flag down the steps. Reuben Anderson, our board president, said that he would prefer to be at the museums and accept the flag on behalf of the department. And so that's how I wound up walking down the steps. And thank goodness I watched the troopers carry the flag down to us, and I saw that they just watched their feet. And so that's what I did. I was wearing wedges. I wouldn't have chosen those shoes. But I just watched my feet, and we all three made it down.
Nobody tripped.
Nobody tripped.
Right. And I was pleased to see former House Speaker Pro Tem Robert Clark at the museum that day.
Robert Clark was a great friend to the department. I really loved and admired him, and he came to a lot of events. We would always invite him when we were having a significant event, and he and his wife would come, and it meant everything to all of us that he was there that day.
Right. Such a respected figure in state history.
A giant.
That's important. That's right.
I have a bit of an abstract question. Mississippi is a place where people really care about history and heritage, though we may disagree very strongly about what exactly that means and should be. Why do you think we care so much about history?
Well, Mississippi's history is as complex and difficult and important as any state in the country. I mean, you go to another state, you go to their history museum, and you just realize they don't have as much to work with. I think you've really hit on something important. I mean, y'all asked me about pressure to soft pedal our history, and I never get that because Mississippians do care about our history, and they do think it's important, and the legislature has supported this department to the highest degree. If you think about the stories that we tell from the Native American experience to cotton, slavery, Civil War, Reconstruction, the Civil Rights Movement, and then add our rich cultural heritage, these are the central stories in American history. This is the central arc of our country's history. And these stories happened here. And I am so grateful to live in a place that cares about its history, to work for a department in which everyone cares and is passionate and committed, and to work with state leadership who support the agency at such a high level. Not to mention the donors who have helped us do everything we've done in the last 10 years.
For people who may not have time to take the trip to Jackson to see the museums, talk a bit about how they can have access to historical documents online.
We have a lot of material online that you can get to through our website, mdah.ms.gov. We have a YouTube channel. We put all of our public programs, History's Lunch, which happens every Wednesday. All of those are archived on YouTube. But you can go through our website. You can find out. You can look at our catalog and find out what resources we have in the collection. And then for some of those resources, you can actually look at the materials online. You can always go old school and call us on the phone. Our researchers, our librarians are incredibly knowledgeable and helpful, and they'll get you started. We love to have new folks come in to the library, and we also serve people over the phone and email. That's really what we do. We serve the public.
And all sorts of interesting documents in the library, and if you get your card and go in, you can check out files.
That's right.
And look at things. I mean, there are things that are just fun in there as well. Old yearbooks.
Yes,
and,
yes. All kinds of photographs, newspapers from all over the state, private manuscripts, the papers I mentioned, the Evers papers. We also have the papers and photographs of Eudora Welty. We have collections donated by artists and writers, and we have all of the public, all of the historic records of state government. So, yeah, come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting stuff. I've spent some time there myself looking through some of the checked out boxes and
yeah,
taking all sorts
it's
of
free.
notes.
Bring a photo ID.
Okay, all right. And they'll give you a pencil.
They'll give you a pencil. They will not give you a pen.
That's right.
They will take your pen.
They will take your pen. I can attest to that. Yes. I think I had to walk back to the car and put some things away.
Yeah, I love them. Our staff is very protective of our resources, as they should be.
And you want
they
them
belong
to be.
to the people of Mississippi.
That's right. They're very conscientious. I will
They're very conscientious.
attest to that. Yes, of course. In addition to the Evers papers, the weapon that was believed to be the gun that was used to kill Medgar Evers is also on display.
That's right.
And
as is the gun that was used to kill Emmett Till, which was recently acquired and is now on exhibit.
Right. How did the Emmett Till portion of the museum talk about the reactions you see from people who visit there?
It's a very, very tough experience, and it's not the only one really in both museums. we're very aware of the impact on people, and we try to allow people to calibrate their experience. There are some exhibits that you have to choose whether or not to go in. So maybe if you're with a small child, you won't go in
Right.
to where you'll see the photographs of a lynching. Nothing is left out, but we try to allow people to experience the museums in a way that they're comfortable. The center of the museum is a sort of reflective area, this little light of mine. You can go in there and sit down and take a break.
Decompress a little bit.
Decompress. One of the projects that we're working on now is to develop a park across the street, Krigler Park, and we're raising funds for that, and we would love your help. And that is another chance for people. You know, if you think about the world's great museums, a lot of them are in parks, and it allows you to come out having had this momentous experience and be in nature and collect yourself. If you've got kids, let them run around and play and unwind. So that's really the final piece of that completes the vision of the Two Mississippi Museums project.
And it also has it will have that green space that doesn't lead directly to the Capitol, but it sort of
Connects, that's right.
Connects in a way.
The museums. The museums now have Energy Plaza in front, and then that'll be right across the street will be Krigler Park, and then you're just a hop, skip, and a jump from the Capitol. So it really opens up the museums to downtown and to State Street.
Right.
And the location, it was inspired by the original layout of the city of Jackson, correct?
That's right. The city was designed with parks throughout the city. There were a patchwork of parks that were planned from the beginning, and the only one left is Smith Park now. And so we're sort of between the Art Garden, which is an inspiration to us, at the Art Museum that anchors that end of downtown, and Krigler Park will anchor this end, and Smith Park just in between. Great cities have wonderful parks. It's important for everyone to use.
Of course, of course. What are we not asking you that you would like to talk about?
I think y'all have covered it. I will just close by saying how grateful I am to my coworkers at the Department of Archives and History who've taught me so much and put up with so much from me. I've talked a lot about the support we've had from the legislature. We have an independent board of trustees, which is their leadership is at the heart of the success of the department, and I'm grateful to them. And the many, many people and institutions who have stepped up and made donations to the Department of Archives and History have enabled the growth and change that I think have really characterized the department over the last decade, and I'm grateful to them.
And here's your chance for that plug. If people do want to make donations, how do they do that?
You can go to our website, mdah.ms.gov, or the Foundation for Mississippi History is the organization that raises money for the department. But the easiest way is to go to our website, mdah.ms.gov. And thank you in advance for your help. We need it.
Katie Blount, retiring very soon as Director of the Mississippi Department of Archives and History. Thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And Simeon Gates, General Assignment Reporter and History Major. Thank you for taking part in this interview. I am Emily Wagster Pettis. I'm Editor-in-Chief of Mississippi Today. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast, watch us on YouTube. And if you feel so inclined, we are a nonprofit. You can put some money into news coverage as well, MississippiToday.org. Thank you so much.